Hello guys, Donald Trump has just had a telephone call with his favorite dictator ever, Vladimir Putin. Knowing Trump's character and his habit to glorify himself on any reason, I was quite surprised not to see any posts on his Truth Social or X. Well, maybe because even with Trump's narcissism and the support of his team of advisors, it is really difficult to describe this conversation as the success of the White House. Putin rejected all of Trump's proposals, focusing on some that are of interest to the Kremlin. Of course, they are connected to the energy infrastructure, and they were actually offered by Zelensky, Macron, and Starmer. The greatest success that Donald Trump managed to achieve during this call was an agreement to hold a competition between the American and Russian hockey teams. Well, that's pathetic. Same as Putin making Donald Trump wait for 2 hours for this conversation. And of course, this weakness that became so visible today. We should not let Putin dictate, and I'm sure someone else have to take the lead, not Donald Trump. And I'm happy to learn that Germany is prepared to get more and more militarized, thus demonstrating the world Ukraine is not alone. So let's discuss what did Trump and Putin talk about during this 2.5 hours. That's a lot. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the defeat and demilitarization of Russia, that is the only working peace plan, subscribe, we discuss all of that on the channel. Donald Trump most likely had to wait for 2 hours. During his conversation with journalists, Putin was asked, what happened? Why isn't he on a conversation with Donald Trump? And he made some jokes about that. I think this is a part of his strategy when the Kremlin dictator wants to look a stronger bully. And it seems like Trump disrespects normal people who communicate with him respectfully. He bullies them like he did with Zelensky. But with Putin, he is at a loss for words because that's his role model. Anyway, after the start of conversation, it lasted more than 2 hours, but we don't need to be surprised because the majority of such conversations are held with the help of translators, and it always doubles, if not triples, the length of a talk. But most importantly, after the end of these conversations, no serious, super energetic Trump-style remarks came from the White House. We have analyzed materials from the Kremlin, then these official comments of the White House, and according to them, the plan for a 30-day ceasefire failed. And that was a central idea of Trump's strategy. He was constantly talking about that. He also mentioned he decided to organize this ambush against Zelensky in the Oval Office to push for this ceasefire. And when Ukraine agreed, he failed with Putin. That was very, very obvious. Putin does not want peace. Putin does not want ceasefire. He will try to persuade Trump that he needs to fight against Ukraine together with Moscow to give up on Ukraine, I don't know, to share intelligence with Russia or whatnot. But there is no plan for this lasting peace and security guarantees to Ukraine. We definitely deserve that. So, no ceasefire on the ground. That was Trump's plan, and Putin didn't like it and said it's impossible to control such a long front line. Actually, this fact was mentioned by Zelensky and the European leaders too. Subscribe to demonstrate your solidarity with Ukraine and to see the collapse of the Kremlin. It is coming no matter how hard the White House may want to say them. The only points within this peace plan that Putin liked were connected with the ceasefire for the hits on energy infrastructure objects, and that's quite obvious. What is bad, they will continue targeting Ukrainian schools and hospitals, but we will be banned to target their oil refineries. I think it's not just, but it is not the first time I think that way. Also, they discussed a possibility of a ceasefire in the Black Sea so that other ships can travel. You know, we were very successful to destroy Russian Black Sea fleet, but they still use missiles that make the waters unsafe. And they will discuss that in future. But most importantly, both of these elements of the ceasefire were offered by the team of Zelensky, Macron, Starmer, and other supporters. It is not the Trump's plan. The Trump's plan was this serious ceasefire on the ground for 30 days, and Putin said no. Once again, by tomorrow, Trump will turn on all of his fantasy to come up with the idea why it is his victory, when in reality it is his failure. Putin started dictating that for a lasting peace, he wants no mobilization in Ukraine, no weapons delivery to Ukraine, and all the trade with Russia. It is totally unrealistic because, you know, even traders realize that Ukraine will never accept that, and there is no power on this planet that can make us, I don't know, stop defending ourselves or demobilizing people, telling the Russians do whatever you want. So to sum it all up, we may say that the greatest achievement of Trump was this agreement on a hockey match between the American and Russian teams. And you know, I think that with each coming day, with each conversation between Trump and Putin, the American president will have to accept he does not have any instruments to pressure on Putin apart from the militarization and support of Ukraine. The more weapons we have, the better we fight against the invaders, the sooner Putin will accept the peace deal. That is so obvious. I don't know, will Trump understand that, but there is no other solution. I know he may actually consider a worse option, like pushing Putin for ceasefire, then starting elections in Ukraine and hoping that we will choose someone pro-Russian. This is totally unrealistic, and for example, the chances of Zelensky are very high, the highest. But I mean, the idea is not the will of the people, is not the protection of democracy when like your life is at stake, but to change the president of Ukraine and to push this next president of Ukraine to capitulate. We will never accept that. We will never allow that. And I am really happy to see that the European Union is awakening and some good news are coming today from Germany. And the future chancellor seems to be more determined than the previous one, and they had to make a very important voting for some changes into the German constitution, lifting the limits for military expenditures. I hope I'm right. And they supported the idea, and soon it may be possible if the vote is supported on Friday. People of Germany, do it. That's important, and I'm really happy that Merz often speaks about this. Not just as a need to support Ukraine, these are not money for Ukraine, these are money for the military production inside Germany. But it goes without saying that with a stronger Ukraine, Europe is stronger and Russia is weaker. United we stand, and this is actually very important. So my Ukrainian advice is don't get nervous when listening to Donald Trump, because the majority of his ideas, the majority of his messages, they fail. And all he does pretends that everything is fine and it is just you who don't see his success, and he will keep posting. But today he is definitely disappointed. We are not, because we knew there are no real instruments right now to influence Putin apart from Ukrainian drones and long-range missiles targeted on their military objects and energy infrastructure. Let me know, what do you think about this conversation? in comments below. Remember to subscribe to my new channel where I share weekly videos about civilian life in times of big war, and actually right now I've started a questionnaire there about the topic of the next video. So do check the channel, subscribe and vote which video you would like to see next. Join me also on X, Threads, Blue Sky, Instagram and Discord. Check our merch shop for lots of new products that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine, and we need that a lot right now. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel, but most importantly, thank you for standing with Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!